Well, I want to say good morning to each of you this morning. I don't have much to offer by way of the bluegrass musical ability this morning. That's kind of been our motif. But I will offer the beard. So I guess I can fit right in with the bluegrass motif. And so, but it is great to be back. And so glad for the last 3 weeks, all the different things, Destiny Rescue and the Fight Club hosted service, and then also the Senior Sunday graduation, Emphasis Sunday. So we've had a good 3 weeks, and I have been a lot of different places, traveled a lot of miles over the last 2 or 3 weeks. And we went southeast to Georgia, to Levi, our youngest of 3 children, jump school graduation. He graduated from Airborne Jump School at Fort Benning, Georgia. And that was quite an adventure. Yeah. I just praise God for that. And I tell you, honestly, you feel a little angst and anxiety when we got there thinking that we might be lucky enough to see one jump, but weather and other things delayed the jumps such that we were able to see 3 of the 5 required jumps. So we actually got to see him roll out of those C-130s at about 1,250 feet, roll out of that thing. And the first time you see him jump out of the plane like that, it kind of messes with your head a little bit and your heart a little bit. I asked Levi what was the most challenging jump, and he said the first one. And it makes sense, doesn't it? The first one. It would make sense because you're bailing out of this thing at 1,250 feet, and it's I guess a static line, and then there's a line that deploys it. And so when you come out of it, you count to 6 1,000, 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, 5 1,000, 6 1,000, and you look up, and if it's not fully deployed, or maybe you're tangled or something and things aren't working right, then you got to deploy your reserve chute, and you got about 3 seconds to get that done. Otherwise, it's not good. It's a rude awakening on the ground. But very, very windy. I thought Northeast Indiana was the windiest place in the world, but man, it was windy down there. And one guy got blown into the trees, and so it's kind of interesting. But God's grace was adequate, and I'm just so glad. I was telling him later, I think that I probably enjoyed that, seeing men and women in the Army at Fryer Airfield, to see them jump out of those planes did more for me than a March Madness Final Four, a Super Bowl, a World Series. It was more invigorating to see men and women in their full uniform and bailing out of that thing. It just gave me a sense that I get chills thinking about it right now. And the fact that it all kind of happened around Memorial Day, it's just an incredible experience, and God is good, and I'm just so enjoy immersing myself in Army culture. And I think it has to do with this thing, running the race, and it has to do with an ultra mindset, really, is having an ultra mindset in life. And we all got to have an ultra mindset, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that in just a second. So we kind of did that, praise God. And the Georgia sun is very hot. And so I had my sunglasses on. I left my other glasses in the car, and it was in a case and everything. But got all these specialty things on these lenses. I thought they'll be fine. Well, I get back, and then I put those babies on, and it's like I'm looking through a spider web in both lenses. And I got trifocal. So I think I'm like two prescriptions ago with these on this morning, my backup pair. So I can't read a lick. So I don't know what I'm going to do. But I'll be doing this a lot, maybe, or maybe just take and sling them, I guess. I don't know, but at least helps me see a little bit better. But 2 prescriptions ago, but I'm good. So always keep a backup pair. It's good advice. And but anyway, I got some other ones ordered, so I've got my no-show trifocals coming. So I'll be good to go here in a few weeks. Get home, check back in. Here, take care of some business, and then we headed out west to Kansas City, Kansas, and saw Megan and Donette's family, and that was good to just kind of check in with them. And something interesting happened. I was telling a friend of the family about Fight Club here at Stoneshill Community Church and about Grace Church in Goshen, and that's kind of helping lead that, and it's kind of originated that, and really blessing a lot of churches through that ministry. And they are he took it to a group of guys in his church. So Olathe Bible Church, a very sizable, substantial church in Kansas City, Kansas, Overland Park, Kansas, I guess. Olathe is where that's at. It all kind of runs together for me after a while. But Olathe, Kansas, that Olathe Bible Church, sizable church, probably is going to be doing Fight Club in the near future. So God is good. Yep, it's really neat. And there's guys just there, just like they are here, going through a lot of tough stuff. And I think the Lord wants to use it in their lives for good, and I think He will. So praise God for that. So it's good to get away. It's good to have some downtime. God is good in all of it, and I enjoyed it. But I'm also glad to be back and ready to be back. Downtime is kind of like you live an adventure, and sometimes we need an adventure, don't we? We need a God-inspired adventure where we adventure at over the right things and toward the right things. And as I think about that, I think about this quote. I follow Ransom Heart Ministries with his John Eldridge Instagram, and he'll post quotations and things on his Instagram account. And so sometimes I'll do a screenshot of some of the quotes that stand out to me, and this is one of the quotes that stood out to me here for today. He actually screenshotted this here several days ago, but he says, "We are created for adventure, and if we cannot find one, we start blowing things out of proportion so it feels like we have one." You ever done that? Anybody here ever do that in life? Let me read it to you again. We are created for adventure, and if we cannot find one, we start blowing things out of proportion so it feels like we have one. See? And there's a lot, that happens a lot, I think, in the human experience. And really what God's calling us to is a life of adventure. You know, sometimes I like the dance motifs and the romancing motifs of the Bible, the wedding garments and the bride and the groom and all of the pageantry associated with that. That's awesome, but I'm not so sure sometimes it communicates and connects maybe with men like it should. And I think that it does some, but I think there's times when we are thirsty for adventure. And that the call of the gospel is that we're being invited into something that's adventurous. We're being invited into something. Follow me, he says. Jesus, the Galilean, says. Follow me. I'm not going to tell you where you're going to go. I'm not going to tell you what you're going to be up against. I'm not going to tell you all that's going to happen because you're going to follow me. I'm just inviting you into the great unknown. Do you have what it takes? Do you have the ultra mindset to run the race? Okay? And so I think that the gospel at its heart is a call to adventure. And you're thirsty for it. You men are thirsty for the adventure. You want something bigger and greater and more purposeful than maybe what you feel in the day today. And you women are too. And the thing is, when we don't have that true adventure in life, we start creating stuff. We start creating drama because we want to feel like we're in something great and something mighty and powerful. And I've always tried to emphasize as a parent, and Donna as well, just trying to say, now guys, give yourself to the true adventure of life. Anybody can go drinking. Anybody can go drugging. Anybody can go sexing. That's easy. That's easy. Go for the true adventure. Okay, jump out of C-130s. At 1,250 feet. Let that be your rush. Give yourself the bigger purpose of that where you can, maybe that'll be used in some way down the road in your life. I don't know, but give yourself the bigger things like that. And honor Jesus in it. Honor Jesus in that. Okay? And whatever you seek in your life. And so I just want to exhort the congregation here this morning, stand before this great group of Christians here in Ligonier, and just say, God is your great adventure. Jesus is your ultimate adventure. He says, follow me. And I'm not going to tell you, by the way, where you're going or where you're headed or where you're going to end up. Just follow me. And I'll take you places where you never thought you'd ever go. You'll do things, you'll meet people, you'll discover ideas, you'll make contributions, you'll do things you never thought you'd ever be able to do. But I'm going to ask you for the very best that you have. And you're going to have to run this race, you're going to have an ultra mindset. Because if you don't have an ultra mindset, you'll never get through it. This thing we call life. If you don't have an ultra mindset, you'll never get through a thing called marriage. You'll never get through some of these great aspiring goals that you are endeavoring to have and that you've set in your life, whether it's high school graduation or college graduation or accomplishing a degree or running race of many miles. You'll never get through that stuff unless you have an ultra mindset, unless you're willing to run the race, unless you're willing to adopt God's perspective and God's wisdom on these great adventures that you're being called into. You'll never make it through them unless you have this mindset that is offered to us, not only in the life of Jesus, who he fixed his eyes on the goal, but it's really laced throughout the Bible, but especially the book of Proverbs. It gives you wisdom, life wisdom for running the race, for running the ultras of life. Now, some of you know that several weeks ago now, I was able to run a race, and I could easily call this message From Couch to 50 Miler in 18 months. Okay? I could easily call it that, but that's a little sensational, and who knows, I might run more, right? Okay? So we're just not going to do that, but I easily could call it that. God has been at work in the life of Joey Nelson. And I can really just attribute it to him. God's grace and energy has been working in me, and he's been moving me in directions maybe I never thought I would ever go, but he's been moving in places and ways. He's inviting me into an adventure. Don't say no. Just open up your mind and say yes to what he's, the way he's leading, the way he's guiding. And so it's a great adventure, and I love it. It's better than getting high. It's better than getting drunk. I don't really know what all that's about anyway, but I just thought it helps me to relate. Okay? It's better than that. It's better than affairs and stuff. I mean, it's just, I love it. To God be the glory, man. I love it. I feel better. I'm less stressed. I still have challenges. I still struggle putting messages together that connect and that communicate. I still got all that stuff. Your kids do something that surprises you every now and then. I still got that. I mean, life is life, right? But I just love this adventure He's calling me into. And I just am so glad it's Jesus and Him lifted up in my life and working in me. And so there's no reason, there's no way I'm going to run 50 miles and not get a sermon out of it. Okay? I'm just telling you, I'm going to get a sermon out of that thing because that's a lot of hard work. And so some of you know that I ran this thing and it took me 18 months to get ready for it. But someone asked me why. Why do you do this? Well, there's a lot of different reasons. And I shared with you here a few weeks ago, Mother's Day, I shared with you how that there's a gal by the name of Ann Trayson who literally, she won the Western States trail run, 100-mile trail run, like several consecutive years. Female, she beat all the men and women. I mean, she's just a phenomenal trail runner. And she says that when you run an ultra, whether it's 50 miles or 100 miles, when you run an ultra, it's like experiencing life in a day. It's like experiencing life in a day. What's she mean? You experience all the highs and lows of life in a single 24-hour period. You start out young and fresh. You're like a little toddler. All this energy, and you're just running, and you're smiling, and everybody's happy, Hopefully you don't have a pacifier, but you're having fun. You got your little, you got your water bottles and things, and you're ready to go. And it's all fun, and then you get into that thing 10 miles in, you're still giddy. 20 miles in, it's like, okay, this is feeling a little different. And you get in the middle age of life of 20 and 30 miles in. If every mile's a year, then you're about 20, 30 miles in. You're 20, 30 years old. You start thinking about life and your priorities. And you start thinking about, why am I really doing this again? You get about 35, 40 miles in. And you start hit that those middle age years. And you start questioning things. Did I run right early in the race? Did I do my nutrition right? Did I pace it right? Am I dressed right? Did I come into this thing with the ultra mindset I needed to have to finish it? And you start questioning all that. And then, I know for me anyway, at 49-year-old legs, when I was done with that thing, I felt like, if you would have just given me a walker and said, head to Avalon Village, I'd have said, okay, give me the walker, here I go. I'd have been right like that, making my way. And of course my pride wouldn't let me use it, but I would have welcomed a walker because my quads are weak. That's a problem I got. And I got to strengthen these babies. And then when they get weak, the knee movement gets sloppy, and so those tighten up and you can't hardly go down the hills. And I was going down hills like this. Okay, because I couldn't do this because too much pressure here. So I got to strengthen here. I got work to do. Adventure, it's huge. But I got work to do. So, but you could have given me a walker and I would have welcomed that thing and I told these guys at Avalon Village Community Church, which is what we're calling a Bible study there, and I do every other week. I said, I now know what you guys feel when you have knee problems. Some of you have had knee replacements. I know how you feel. I know exactly how you feel. Every step you wince with pain. And that never goes away. Life in a day. I experience life in a single day. That's why I do it. And there's another reason why I do it. And I'm not usually apt to talk about it this way, but I'll talk about it because it's my profession. And this is not in any way to disparage or to cast questions or doubts on those who have overcome some really great obstacles in their life, physical handicaps and things, to be a pastor and things like that. Now this is, you are fully adequate and sufficient in Jesus no matter what your physical handicap, okay? Praise God. Just understand that. But here's the thing. In my life personally, I think pastors have gotten soft. They've gotten soft. They look for the cushy pastorates. And we talk a big discipline game, but we don't do it. And so that's another reason. It's like, I don't want you to have a soft pastor. Okay? I'm not saying I've got to have a six-pack, but I got to tighten this up because there is no reason to be soft and tout a big game, a disciplined life, and I don't live one. See, I got a problem with that. And I understand for years, I sat in a dugout, on the bleacher, on the sidelines, and I cheered my kids on. I wouldn't trade that for anything. I did the right thing. But I let myself go. Physically and even spiritually at times, I let myself go. And so it's like God saying, come on now, let's turn the corner. You gave yourself hopefully you gave yourself the important things in life when you needed to do that, and that's fine, but you've let some other things slide, Nelson. It's time to get to ultra mindset. Because, you know what it's like, life in a day, and it's going to go quick. And life's going to be here and it's gone, and then what do you got? You're going to look back and you're going to think, well, did I give myself to the right things, to do my very best? So you try to think ahead a little bit and play the movie forward. And so, I just don't want you to be led by a soft dude. Okay, so I want to tighten it up a little bit for the glory of God and to lift up Jesus. And you know what? If you're not at your ideal weight, I love you because I wasn't, okay? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's not just about that. It's about a lot of other things. But what I'm saying is, all shapes and sizes, Stones Hill Community Church is a place for you. Wherever you are. I'm just saying, me as a leader, and I can say this because I'm a pastor, maybe not you, but I'm a pastor. I can look at my profession and I look across the board and I see some of this and it's like, I don't want to be that way. I want to tighten it up. I want to lead and authenticate what I say with how I live. And so that's what I'm trying to do. And the day's going to come, I'm going to blow something out. I just know it. I'll blow something out, and I won't, things will be different, and I'll have to modify and figure out what's going to work from being blown out or whatever, and try to figure out what I can do otherwise. And I hope you'll love me. Man, I hope you love me when I'm like this. I hope you'll love me and care for me, So, that's the beauty of the church, right? But I just want to emphasize this morning that you're being invited into a great adventure in Jesus. And don't ever, ever, ever limit what He wants to do in your life. Just open up yourself to what He might be speaking to you and how He might be speaking. So, what I want us to do this morning, I'm going to modify some stuff here. What I want to do is, if you help me there in the booth, is I want you to pull up my mnemonic device, my acronym for Firm Dirt. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to the very last slide. I think it's the one where all the blanks are filled in. Yeah, there we go. And so, as I think about what I'd like to share with you, just in a single message here this morning, I just want to share some of these thoughts. And I think, as I thought about it, really, there's a lot of these concepts are addressed in the book of Proverbs. And so I'll be sharing maybe a proverb that goes with each of these. And again, the proverb is about wisdom. It's about living life in the fear of God. Talk about that maybe another time. But that's very important to understand that, that's the core curriculum of Proverbs, the fear of God. It's not an unhealthy fear. It's a very healthy respect. In other words, you just don't want to disappoint Him. You love Him and you care for Him and you worship Him and you want to honor Him with every area of your life. And so it's the fear of God. It emphasizes parental guidance a lot in the book of Proverbs. And I originally had entitled this message, What 50 Miles Taught Me, My Mother Already Taught Me. That was on Mother's Day. Somebody texted me after that sermon and said, you know what? Here, the moral of the story is, listen to your mother so you don't have to run 50 miles. Yeah. And it's like, you know what? Amen. I agree with it. So, and then I kind of modified it. Again, what 50 miles taught me, my parents already taught me. I let my dad get in on the action. Okay. But as I think about this, these are things that probably you were taught, that were modeled maybe in your life, but that you just need reminded of this morning. And there's a guy here on the platform that's trying to do that for you. Because I want to help you to have what it takes to finish the ultra we call life. To finish the ultra of a marriage, to finish the ultra of a degree, to finish the ultra of a great health crisis you're in, to finish the ultra of addiction breaking, to finish the ultra of pushing through a boundary that maybe or a barrier in your life. This is what it takes. This is going to be what it takes in your life to finish the ultras that God has called you into, the adventures that God calls you into. It's going to take this right here. And so if I could somehow summarize this whole message, so I'm going to turn to the very last couple pages of my notes, and I'm just going to give you basically in essential form, consolidate the concepts here, very brief. I'll say it this way. So if you focus, it will keep you from distractions that hinder you or keep you from becoming the best version of you possible. If you'll focus. If you ingest good fuel along the ultras of life, your body will operate at a prime level. And if you'll release the heavy stuff that has happened to you, you'll travel much lighter and fatigue won't rob you of a joyful journey. If you move forward, no matter the pace, you'll eventually get to where you're trying to go. You'll never go wrong by dedicating your life to God. Your identity is in Him anyway. And if you'll improvise and get creative when things go in a direction that you would rather they not go, you can save an entire race and maybe even an entire life and an entire family. And if I were going to point my one favorite concept out of the Firm Dirt acronym, it would be improvise. Some of you got to learn to improvise this morning. No, the marriage isn't going perfect. And no, the job isn't going perfect. And yes, you've had this handicap, you've had that accident, you've had this problem, but you've got to get creative. We got to get creative in those times. And we've got to improvise and change on the fly and we modify as we go and we adjust and we learn and we adapt and we're resilient and we bounce back. And this morning, if you don't hear anything else I'm saying, you need a pacer in your life. And Jesus said, I'll be the pacer. I'll help you improvise. I'll help you know how to do that. And so I just want to encourage you this morning, it's time to improvise. maybe in your ultra that we're calling life. And not only that, but if you get comfortable with life repetition, we sometimes in the running community we'll talk about repeats and doing repeats and how important it is to do repeats because you learn so much more about yourself. You become so much more self-aware when you repeat things. And you begin to, there's certain things that you learn to repeat daily. And because you repeat those same things daily, you learn to listen to your body, and you can actually hear more messages from your body because you've repeated and you repeat and you repeat and you repeat, and you start listening for the feedback, and it helps you figure things out. And so repeat is important. And so if we get comfortable with life repetition, we'll learn more about ourselves. And when it's all done, you'll see how God used others to get you to the finish, and you'll get to thank them for all the help, and your heart will soften because you need others. You need others for the journey. Firm dirt. I hate running in mud. It cakes into my lug tread on my shoes, and it just, my feet feel like I've got cinder blocks on them, you know. You try to shake that stuff off, that clay stuff, it won't come off. And some of you trying to do life and marriage like that, you got all this miry clay, the psalmist says, and he cries out to God, you lifted me up out of the miry clay and you put me on a solid rock, on some firm footing. And this will give you firm footing for the ultra we call life, for marriage, for family, for relationships, for goal accomplishment, for dream enhancement. This will get you there. These concepts. And not just the concepts, but when we lean into these and we begin to choose to live these out, I'm here to tell you this morning, it'll take you on an adventure that you never thought possible. When you begin to focus and work, which is the very first idea here, is begin to work this plan. Now listen, as we think about this, as I think about focusing, I think about a proverb that says in Proverbs 4:25, let your eyes look straight ahead, fix your gaze directly before you. Isn't that beautiful? That's Proverbs 4:25. Let your eyes look straight ahead, fix your gaze directly before you. This is what I'm feeling called to do, and this is what I'm going to set my gaze toward. One of the smartest things I ever did was get a headlamp, because it lets me run at nighttime or early in the morning. And running's not for everybody. It's what works for me. And I want to thank every runner in this church. You ran when nobody else listened. And you were faithful, and you've run races. You've inspired all of us. And running was your thing. And running is kind of what I've gravitated toward. And so I thank you for it. But it'll be other things for others. Swimming, bicycling, it'll be other things. It'll be goals in your work, in your marriage. You know, not just physical. It'll be spiritual goals, social goals, vocational goals. This works when you really focus and you begin to really get creative about how I can accomplish this goal that God's calling me toward. And so I love that Proverbs. Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. You can do this. You can do this. You can do this. Say that over your marriage. Say that over your health crisis. Say that over your challenge. You can do this. I'm here to tell you this morning, you can do this. Focus. Focus. Get that thing in the center of your vision, and let that be your focus, and let Jesus pace you toward it. Now listen, one of the things I had to do in all of it is, this is not going to make some of you happy, but I had to swap sugar for cardio. I'm a sugar addict. Hi, my name is Joey, and I'm a sugar addict. I live for that white grainy substance. Ooh, it's good. It's good. I love that stuff. And it's crazy because the more I eat, the more I want of it. I'm a sugar addict. And I had to swap sugar for cardio to get let the cardio get me going. Let that be my rush. Now some of you, if I say this, some of you are going to stone me, okay? But you might need to swap caffeine for cardio. I know. You're like, I'm not so sure I'm happy you're back. I'm just saying. It's what I had to do. And because I'm a sugar addict, and I love that stuff. And I crave it. And it's my God. It is and has been for so long. And so it's like, so I've had to really check it, and I still, I did like a calorie audit for 6 months, a food calorie audit you ought to try it. Those are apps, you can do it, it's not hard. Everything you do, just scan the barcode on whatever it is. And eventually I learned like what stuff was, the calories and stuff. Peanut butter and jelly is 300 calories. Got that. If it's me, it's 350 because I like a lot of peanut butter. All right. I got that down in my head. So I literally got down in my head what everything is. I did a calorie audit for 6 months, and it showed me 2 things. Number 1, I never get enough potassium. So now I eat a banana a day. Number 2, I doubled what my daily intake of sugar should have been. It was double. 6 months calorie audit, you ought to try it. I learned a lot of things about me, about this engine of the body. And a lot I don't understand, but those 2 things stood out to me, and so I've tried to modify. Okay? What am I talking about? Focus. I want to do this. Well, are you willing to pay the price? And can you focus and get creative? And that's the question that I had to deal with, okay? And so, all right, focus. All right, let's quickly hit the next one. Ingest. All right? Proverbs 25:16. 25:16. If you find honey, eat just enough. Too much of it, and you will vomit. Yes, vomit. Isn't that a wonderful word? Isn't that real appetizing here about 10:52 on Sunday morning when you're starting to get a little hungry? Vomit. Let's all say it together. Vomit. All right. You're with me. Proverbs 25:16. If you find honey, eat I kind of like preaching without glasses. I can't see you looking at me and frowning at me. This is kind of working. I'll have to keep that in mind. All right? Too much of it and you will vomit. Don't you hate vomit? Oh, I hate vomit. It's a horrible thing. Oh, and I just have had so many experiences with that. And there's been times, boy, I tell you, when you run, you definitely get really... In fact, at mile 47, the only thing I could eat was an orange slice. Everything else is going to come back up. Basically, the goal in ultra running is to try to keep things from coming out either end. That's the goal. And if you can get food to go in and you can digest that, okay, then you're okay. Okay? All I could eat mile 47 orange slices. I don't know why. They say not to try new things when you race. Why is the new thing for me? I never did try that in training. But orange slices, and I tore through a bunch of them because I needed some fresh energy because I was out of gas. But if you find honey, eat just enough, too much of it, and you will vomit. Nutrition is the key, is the secret to reach the finish lines, okay, of life. My theory, very simple. Eat before you're hungry. Drink before you're thirsty. Walk before you're tired. That'll help you when it comes to running, but it's true in a lot of things in life. You know, the Joey Nelson weight loss plan is very simple. Okay? Proverbs 25:16. That's my weight loss plan. If you find honey, eat just enough. Too much of it, and you will vomit. There's a tribe in Africa. I read this in a book. Calamari, I think is the name of the tribe. And they're known as persistence hunters. What they do is they line up, these tribesmen line up, and they'll get after a gazelle or something, and they'll persist. The gazelle's way faster, way more agile, but they'll line up, and here they'll go. Nice little steady pace. The gazelle's way out there, but here they're still coming. And they just keep going and going and going. And eventually, whatever it is they're after gets tired and succumbs. It's called persistence hunting. But here's the rule. This is my diet plan in very simple terms. Okay? Here's the rule. All right? They have to be able to get up from the table and run on the spur of the moment whenever whatever it is presents itself. So here's the rule. Only eat as much as if you needed to get up from the table at any time and go on a run, you could do it. At any time. If you go over that threshold and say, there's no way I could run right now, you've gone too far. Eat whatever it is you want to eat. Okay? Whatever it is you want to eat it. But be able to get up from the table and go on a jog and it feel good to you. And you'll know, your belly will tell you. And that's the Joey Nelson Proverbs 25:16 plan. If you find honey, eat just enough. Too much of it and you will vomit. You know what? If I went on a run right now, all that spaghetti, woo! Sparta Lake, you're going to feed all the vultures on Sparta Lake Road. All of them. They're going to all love you for overeating that spaghetti, Joey. Well, you do that a few times and you're like, nah, that's no fun. I just think I'll go this much this time because I think I could still run on that much. And you go for it. Okay? Ingest. So we got to talk about food if we're going to accomplish the ultras of life. We got to eat right. And try to eat good things. Now, when I say eat whatever you want, I'm assuming basic. You can't live on sweet tarts and M&Ms and stuff like that, right? That's sugar addict in me, right? But it's within reason. My daughter's a great cook, and so I have a lot of great meals. Praise God. But the goal is to eat only as much as you can and still be able to run on it. Very simple plan. Okay, the next thing here is release. Listen to this. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him and He will make paths straight. People have a lot of ideas about how to release stress in life and other things that aren't good for us that we hold on to. They'll talk about media detox. They'll talk about a better diet. They'll talk about getting outside more. Here's my best shot. You want to reduce your stress this morning? You want to be able to face the ultras of life and the power of God? Let God be God. Just let Him be God. You're not big enough. You're not powerful enough. You're not all-knowing. You can't figure this thing called life out on your own. Release. Just let God be God. And, that's when every time I go on a run, for me personally, it's a time of release. God, you're God and I'm not. I used to listen to music in my ears and with little, your little earbuds. Thank you. This ultra stuff messes with my head sometimes. I can't quite get it. But the earbuds. And I have no problem with people listening to music. Listen, if that's what gets you through. Or other podcasts where you learn things, that's awesome. Because I've done all that. And Willie Nelson, Highwayman, got me through many an early morning. All right? But it got to where Willie, I felt like, was intruding on Jesus. So I let Willie go. And now it's just me and the hum and pavement. Just a two-step rhythm. And I just put it on repeat, and Jesus will start the talking. And I'll start the listening. And it's become a deeply spiritual thing for me. It's an act of worship. Now I enjoy, if I run with other people, that's awesome. But it's out there on those lonely roads where Jesus can speak to me. And I honestly believe I communicate just as well like that as I would at my home, at my couch, on my knees. I think it's just as powerful out there on the road by myself with the cattle and the coyotes and just the Indiana field. That's where I can just release it. God, you're God and I'm not. Praise God. Now I'm going to enjoy the run. By the way, help Donette today. Be with Will and Levi, Megan, David. Be with my church family, all the elders of the church, and be with the women's ministry, and men's ministry, children and youth. Celebrate recovery, grief share. Just cover you all in prayer. Just out there, just letting God. And sometimes He calls me out on things. You shouldn't have eaten those 3 donuts there, Nelson. Oh, I know. Thank you. Too much honey and you will. Yeah. You bet. All right. Move. Okay, is that where we are? Okay. Psalm 19:15. Laziness brings on deep sleep, and the shiftless go hungry. In their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. What I'm going to say there is that you just got to move. You just got to keep moving. You want to quit sometimes. Sometimes you do that. Maybe your job or your marriage or a degree program that you're in. You just want to quit. You get discouraged and things don't go as they're supposed to go. And this race is not materializing like I had it pictured. And I'm just discouraged and I just want to DNF this thing. I don't care. I'm quitting. The ultra mind says, don't you do it. You don't quit. That's the one thing the stone throwers don't do. We don't quit. We stay after it until we get her done. And that's what you want to do. That's what you want to be in life. That's how you can accomplish a lot of things. Firm dirt. Just keep moving. Just keep moving. It's amazing what accomplishments we can have when we just move. It reduces stress, it strengthens bones, it improves circulation, it lowers blood pressure, it improves digestion, it boosts metabolism, it clears the lungs, it enhances the immune system. If we just move. In fact, sometimes I get kind of miffed and ticked at preachers who write about how when they go to the mall, God gives them a parking place at the very front of the, right in front of the doors. And I'm like, you know what? That is a curse of Satan. That's not a blessing of God. Park in the farthest place you can find in the lot and walk it and let God use it to help you move because that's what you need anyway. It's not a blessing of God to get a parking spot next to the front doors. That's our curse. That's satanic lies to deceive us into non-movement. We got to revamp the way we think about this. Okay? It just kind of ticks me off when they start saying stuff like that. Really think it through. All right. There's my bully pulpit. Here we go. Firm dirt. Dedicate. Proverbs 18:10. The name of the Lord is a fortified tower. The righteous run to it and are safe. The name of the Lord is He's my identity. He's greater than any race that I'll ever run or any goal I'll ever accomplish. He is far greater. My identity in Him and who I am in Him. Positionally, I am in Christ, and I've talked to you about that. And people may disappoint you, and life circumstances may disappoint you, but it doesn't have to shut you down. And there will be people who may not accept you or what you have to offer, but it's okay because you're not living for them anyway. You're not running for them anyway. You're running for the name of the Lord's sake. And so a single race or event in life doesn't define you, and we need to remind ourselves of this often. Before I had this big race, a very special friend stopped by with his wife and daughter. And he had a couple of shirts for me. And I really appreciate it. In fact, I was so excited that sometimes our doorbell doesn't ring like it should. And I happened to look out and see someone in the driveway. And I thought, man, I want to get down to the door before they get away. Because sometimes that happens. People think we're not home. They ring the door. So if you come to our house, ring that doorbell really, really well. And I won't get mad if you hold it in. It goes ding, 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 ding. It's okay. I'll just know that you heard the message and you're going to, you're just doing what you were told, right? And but But I wanted to get down there in a hurry, and I got down there, and I got the door open, and then I looked down, and I realized I was in my boxers. I was in my boxers. First time I've ever had a pastoral visit with somebody in just my boxers. But we had a great moment together, and I think probably saw the humor in all of it. It was all over with. And we circled up, and that guy prayed for me and just dedicated that race to God about 12 hours before I was off at the finish line and running. That meant a lot to me. He prayed for me. And we just dedicated that thing to God. And there's another guy that showed up on the morning of the race. It was nighttime, early morning, so it's still dark. And he showed up, and minutes before I got to the start line. 18 months into this thing, okay? I've been training hard. I want this to go well, but I want to honor God with it. And got to the side of the tent there and prayed for me and dedicated it to God. That's what it's all about, isn't it? It's just God is your glory. And thank you for the people in my life, good friends who pray for me and just help me, remind me that this all belongs to you. Even if I am in my underwear, all right? It all belongs to you. It's for your glory. And boy, those guys just really helped me. They encouraged me to really honor and dedicate all of it to God. Well, I know many of you prayed for me as well, and I really thank you for it. Improvise. There's a way that appears to be right, Proverbs 14:12 says, but in the end it leads to death. It's a good psalm, isn't it? There's a way that appears to be right, but in the end it leads to death. And I just want to say to you this morning, you got to give up the perfect conditions race and ultras of life. Your marriage is not going to be perfect. Your relationships and your job and all these things aren't going to be perfect. Your financial it's not all going to be perfect. But you got to get creative, and I got to get creative, and we got to improvise. I overdressed it. You know how it's cold sometimes in the morning, and I had a long sleeve compression shirt on, another short sleeve, a vest with a rain jacket in the back, and my buff around my head with my headlamp. And I get into mile 3, and I'm hot. I mean hot. And I've run this enough, I should have known not to wear that Under Armour compression shirt, long sleeve. But this thing is just getting started, and you know how it is. You're early in life, you're in the life in a day scenario, you're early in that race, and you're excited, and you want to do well. It's like, well, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep moving. And so, all in one, I ran, and while I'm running, I take this off, this off, this off. The vest obviously comes off. I get everything in the front. I stuff things in, and then I have to start putting it back. Actually, it felt good to run without a shirt. All right, it cooled me down quick, but then I had to put it all back on. I had to improvise. I didn't gauge it right. How many times in your life have you not gauged something right, and you had to improvise? Do we go in a corner and start pouting? Oh, we just messed it up. We messed it up. It's never going to be. We're just never going to get over it. Is that what we do, or are we going to say no? I'm going to have the ultra mindset, and the ultra mindset, I'll change it. I'll change it on the fly. Now that later, I think I had some problems because I carried too much stuff in my vest, and so I was all proud of myself for doing a wardrobe modification while I'm running a sub-9 pace, which was pretty good pace through the woods and hills and things included. That's not a bad pace, and I'm all proud of myself, pat myself on the back. Oh, that's pretty good improvisation, Joey. Nice job. I'm all proud of myself. Look what you did. You maintained your pace and everything. I'm good. Well, that shirt was wet with sweat. It was heavy, over 50 miles. You don't count in pounds. You start counting in ounces. And so I had a sweaty shirt, a sweaty rain jacket, a headlamp I was carrying the whole race and should have never carried. I carried too much weight. Got these tired. These tight. Big mistake. We live and learn. I probably was carrying another 3 to 5 pounds I didn't need to carry. What are you carrying this morning? What are you carrying that you don't need? What are you carrying that's slowing you down your ultra of life? tightening everything up. It's so, yeah, we improvise and we get proud of what, we bounce back and we're resilient and all that, but still, are we carrying things we don't need to be? I can't see you this morning. I have no idea what my facial expressions are. You're safe. Everybody's safe. I can't see a lick. I just see like blue and orange and brown and red. That's all I can see. I'm not picking on anybody. But I just don't want you to, as pastor of the church and a spiritual leader, one of the spiritual leaders in your life, I don't want you to carry what you don't have to carry. I want you on firm dirt. That'll get you home. Okay? But we got to improvise. Well, we learn, I got this here, 4 points here in my notes on this point. We learn how best to respond to life as it happens to you. Number 2, look for ways to make the best out of every moment. Number 3, just show up and do the next best possible step your mind can think of. Sometimes that'll get you there. And number 4, always be ready to do more with less. We overthink it sometimes, I think. Overpack it. Just be ready to do more with less. Improvise. Repeat. Well, there's a proverb that says, instruct the wise and they will be wiser still. Teach the righteous and they will add to their learning. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. For through wisdom your days will be many and years will be added to your life. What that says to me is much of life is repetition. Some of you moms, day in and day out, you do the same thing. Some of you guys working, maybe in the factory, do the same things day in and day out. Don't despise the repetition. Because a repetition and a pattern ensures that things get done that need to get done. We need repetition in our life. It can't be all spontaneous. But when you do the repetition, you'll learn a lot about yourself. Whether it's repeating and running or whatever, you'll learn about you, who you are. And running and exercise and job and all these things, it's not the sum total of your identity. But how you do those things is. Are you going to live with excellence? Okay? Or are we going to be mediocre? And so, we repeat because it ensures that things get done. We got to repeat some things. And we learn when we do that. And then finally, I'm going to leave bunches of stuff out in this thing just for the sake of getting it wrapped up in one message. And that is, we think. T. Firm dirt. We think. Above all else, guard your heart. Proverbs 4:23. For everything you do flows from it. Guard your heart against what? Unforgiveness, bitterness, grudge holding, an ungrateful spirit. All those things. You can't run the ultra like you need to run it if you're going to carry that excess weight. And so I love these little things called aid stations, because you pull into those things and they all have a theme. It might be Star Wars, or it might be country music theme, or what. You run into these things. They all got a theme, and then you got people that can help you get what you need in a hurry. And the last thing you want to do is start getting on your aid station volunteers. Right? I don't care how slow they are, you say thank you. Because you're just trying to survive, and they're doing the best they can. And I know I had excellent aid station help. In fact, I looked on my Garmin. After 50 miles of running, I only have 3.5 minutes of non-moving time. 50 miles. 3.5 minutes where I wasn't moving. I just kept moving. And the reason I did as well as I did was because I had people around me who loved what I was doing. And I would pull into that aid station. I'd have my water bottles right here. Half tailwind, half water in that one, all water in that one. I need this, this, and this. Boom, boom, boom. There it is, out the door. Now, here's the thing, or out the tent flap. Okay? And here's the thing on that. You don't want to throw down on your people. They're your helpers. They're there for you. You want to, when you get to the end of that thing, you realize, I couldn't have done this without them. There's no way. You can't get Gatorade out of an oak tree. Or they don't make Gatorade in the creeks. And you need electrolytes. If you just drink all water, you'll wash everything out. You'll have a reverse effect. You got to have electrolytes in there. You just can't drink pure water the whole time. That'll mess you up. You have to have electrolytes. You have to have that intake. Something for your body to work with. And those guys made it happen. So one of the first things I got to do at the end of the thing was hug the race director, because he really offered me, I ran a lot with him and the group that he's a part of, and he offered me a lot of helpful advice that got me home. And when late in that race, you start picturing who's going to be at the finish line. Who's going to be the faces that you see. And I knew he was going to be one of them. But I got to hug him, and in the video I hug him. And then he's kind of back on his heels, but then I notice I never let go. And so he swings his leg around to get his balance, because I'm about to pull him over. Because I didn't want to let go, because I was like, I don't know if I could stay standing up here. And then I got to see my wife, and I got to see my AP. Put his picture up there for me. There he is. One of the guys that prayed for me. He loved me all the way to the finish. And his wife did a quick Facebook Live video tearing him. That's among some of my most prized memories. I'm out there trying to throw it down, and a couple people from my church, all of you prayed for me, but they wanted to come over and be a part of that. And it just gave me a little, it's like, well, life in a day. Someday I'm going to round that last turn. I'm going to come up on Sand Lake. I want to come down that grassy knoll and through that big finish banner. And I'll be looking for some faces. And you'll be among them. I hope you make it. This is the ultra we call life. And this will get you there. Now, are you willing? Will you pray with me? Thank you, God, for this day. I'm blind as a bat. But this morning, you see into the hearts of this people. I've given them my best one shot here at finishing the altars of life. I got a lot to learn. I want to thank you for preserving me in such a way that I'm able to do what I'm able to do. It's not with ingratitude at all. I am deeply appreciative. But I just pray for each of us that we'll all find our way together. And we'll all do what works for us. And there's been a lot of wisdom that's flowing through this place this morning. A lot of insight. And maybe not everything will be remembered, but if you'll take one or two things and just drive it home to our hearts, it might be life-changing for somebody here. And I just ask and pray this morning that people that walked into this place heavy this morning, that they would be able to turn and leave from this place light as a feather. Because somebody's held out a little bit of practical hope that says, wait a second, there's a way we can do this. There's a way to think about this. There's a way to take me out of the miry clay and put my feet on the solid rock, to put me on some firm dirt. And I think of Jesus, who looked up that great altar called Mount Calvary. It was so big and so huge and so impossible looking to him. And he looked up that thing, and boy, he took off. And he never stopped till he got to the top of that thing. And he paid the price to finish his altar. And he broke through the victory tape. And 3 days later, somewhere thereabouts, he comes bursting out of the tomb. And he ascends to the Father's right hand in 40 days. And he gets there, and he gets that big belt buckle. That big medal hung around his neck. Jesus, welcome back. You accomplished salvation's plan. Holy Spirit, kick it in. Now you go apply it on the peoples of the world. And then currently today, the Holy Spirit's in this place. He's speaking to hearts. And I just ask and pray that this could be a life-changing, life-saving message that you will get glory from. Thank you for the adventures of life. I love this adventure. I thank you for it. It's better than anything the world can give me. And because you are the reason why. I never know where you might take me or what you might teach me. And I just ask and pray that I'll stay focused on staying focused in these days. In Jesus' name, amen. You stand with me this morning? I love each of you. They're going to cue up the final closing song. And you just feel free to mingle and say hello to everybody. And we'll see you next week, Father's Day. Bring your daddy. And hopefully he'll enjoy his time. Have a great week.